Hello everybody, welcome back to the table and the shaky cam. We're going to play some The Long Road by Mark Walker, published by Flying Pig Games. So this finished a Kickstarter a little while ago, and then shipping and things. It seems like it's now getting shipped out to folks, which is exciting. So I thought this would be great to share a Let's Play. Now I did actually film this particular Let's Play a while ago. Well, maybe not this exact one, but I had problems with the video. It didn't quite turn out right. There's some corruption in it, and I was like, oh, okay, let's just refilm. And which I think is great timing, because as the game comes to people, this will give you kind of maybe a little idea of how it plays if you're not familiar. If you are familiar, this was it's based on the basically Platoon Commander series, but it's added a lot of things to it. The original Platoon Commander series mostly focused a lot on like some World War II stuff. They had the deluxe version with Kursk, but there were a lot of smaller Ziploc bag versions before that, had like Korea, Pakistan, and some things. And this one is, I don't want to say a radical departure, but it is. It's a big step away from those, and that includes a paranormal element as well. So if you're not familiar, this is actually a Weird War game, and so you're going to have zombies, vampires, werewolves, and things like that, in addition to fighting your World War III elements. So today, the scenario we're going to play is number 3 from the scenario book, and once I pull all the components out, we'll look at the scenario, set it up, and give it a shot. And, you know, depending on how long the game plays, we'll take some liberty with moving some elements forward, because you easily could play this for a few hours, and I don't know if anybody wants to watch this played for a few hours. So let's get through it. So I'm pulling out some dice. I have a lot of the counters already punched and pulled out. These are bagged, set aside specifically for scenario 3, since I just put them in a bag to save them for today. Or maybe, no, that's not scenario 3. I think I was playing, I was playing scenario 1. So when I prep, I'll have to stop the camera, pull out all the stuff I need for scenario 3. I was actually playing scenario 1 and then packed it up and set it all aside. Here are the your Long Road cards. So these are cards that you play that will modify gameplay. And your paranormal elements, they have cards too, with like a zombie deck, a werewolf deck, vampire deck, and the witch. So here would be like your zombies, here's the vampires, and we need, well, there's the witch, but we need the werewolf cards, or lichen. So we'll have that. I'm going to set this aside. And then we have these cubes are used to track hit points of the kind of the big bad monsters for the paranormal side. So I'm going to have a couple of those out because we might need them. And then that's what these cards are. These are going to track some of those super villains we have for this scenario coming up. It's these two, Ledetta and Tintani. So I'll need those, and then you just use this to track their hit points. And then when they hit to the flip side, you flip the counter on the board so you know it's on their like wounded side. And these cards are great because not only does it track health, because they're very strong, powerful characters, but it also lists their abilities to remind you. Like, for example, Ledetta is lucky. Roll 2 dice when attacking on the fire result table or close assault table. Choose one to resolve an attack. And if I remember, she's going to get a lucky token as well, just to help remind that. So I'm pulling out some components I'll need. So just moving off to the side, the Long Road Tactics. So this is a scenario book that has no paranormal elements for those that are interested. Here is the fire results table and the close assault table and your shooting and range table. So I'm going to set that aside. We also need the Long Road Turn Record Track. So put that there. And the campaign book. And we're going to go to 3. So I'll tell you what scenario 3 is. We'll look at that, and then I'll pause the camera and we'll get set up. So scenario 3, so the campaign book, first of all, I think this is probably going to be the best way to play the game, because these do interlock. Like most people, I think, have played campaign games from other war games, but these fit together really well narratively in kind of the Dark War universe that Mark has created, and they tie together very well. So I think that if you're going to play a campaign game, this one is well worth your time. So we're going to find scenario 3. So ambush. So Ledetta had seen enough, her clan had seen enough, it was time to get to work. To work, however, you needed tools. They had some: rifles, machine guns, even a handful of the Soviet rocket launchers, all scavenged from forgotten skirmishes or murdered soldiers. Better yet, were the 2 Mark 82 bombs they had found, unexploded, but they needed more. Today they had word that a Soviet convoy was headed through the Bushveld forest, their forest. This was their chance to not only kill, but also steal much-needed supplies. It mattered not to Ledetta that these men were Soviets. They would have killed Americans or Englanders just as willingly. They were all invaders, but today the invaders spoke Russian. It would be the younger's task to fight with weapons. After they sowed confusion, the elders who would charge will, or who could change at will, would finish the killing. So that's what we got. We got a convoy of Soviet equipment traveling down through a road, and then the Lycans are going to ambush. So that's kind of the goal. And this will have the setup instructions. There's also, for this one, a lot of special scenario rules. I'll just have to try to remember some of that as we go along. But essentially, the Soviet player is going to stick to the main road, can't go more than speed 5 until they are engaged by the Lycans in some capacity, whether it's through the Mark 82 bomb booby traps, which is something else we have to set up. Now, I'll just blow stuff up at some point using the Mark 82 bomb rules, but if you're playing with a person, an opponent, you have to write down hidden where you're planting the bombs somewhere on the map, either it's along the road or somewhere else. And then the idea is that the clans, even though they are destroying truck counters on the board, it represents them capturing trucks and removing those elements from the Soviets. And then the Soviet players trying to get, as many trucks off the board as they can. So that's it. The Lycan player will try to stop trucks. Soviet players trying to get trucks off the road. Now, one nice thing that you can do is when you're the Lycan player, as the Soviet player is moving their troops through the road, or if they go off-road through the forest and whatnot, you can put Lycan elements on the board at any point during those impulse steps. So, and basically, like, instead of you playing an action card, you could put down a Lycan troop. So since you move essentially one unit at a time, if you're moving a truck along, then you could say, hold it, and I'll drop down one of my Lycan players to attack the truck. So it's really hard in some regards for the Soviet player to get all the trucks safely across, or as many as possible, because the Lycan player can ambush kind of any point along the way. And since you aren't moving stacks, there will be points where your trucks feel a little bit exposed. So it can be a tough scenario for the Soviet player, but then if luck goes your way, you can just take out the Lycans, no problem. But the Lycans are tough. Okay, so this is something else I wanted to share. I store the counters on the counter trays that the counters come in originally with the game. And so what I do is, and I'm only pointing this out because someone asked, like, hey, where'd you get those cool counter trays? These are what come with the game. What I do is I had some thin kind of cardboard cardstocky stuff, and I tape it to the back of the counter sheet. And then when I need something, I just pop it out. And then when I'm done with the game, I pop it back in. And there it stays. And yeah, it works out great. I don't have to worry about extra counter trays or anything like that. Everything fits back in the game perfectly. It works for me. Alright, well, I will pause here, move stuff out of the way, get the board and everything set up, and then we'll play. Be back soon. Alright, so here goes the start of the scenario. So I've got the Soviet forces all lined up. I try to put the trucks kind of escorted by other vehicles, but again, the problem is they don't move as stacks. They kind of move one at a time. So it's tricky in kind of deciding the best way to move them. And I've tried this scenario a few times, and it is tough. So do I move like just all the Soviets, like move all of the escorting vehicles and then move the trucks? That way the trucks are bouncing along from escort to escort in case there's an ambush of firepower or close assault or something. It's kind of a pain. Another thing you can do is on some of the counters, if they have this rifle symbol over the movement sector, you can put infantry in there, and then they can use the firing ports or fire from the vehicle to get a column shift to the right. Now, if I load them up onto the trucks that they're escorting, the problem with that is the trucks are very easy to kill, so it's also very easy to lose those infantry. So it's like, is the little bit of protection they give in close assault maybe necessarily the fragility of the infantry to load them onto trucks? So I've got all the infantry loaded onto BTR 70s. The trucks are just going to have to do their best. I don't think the Soviets were expecting a lot of ambushes, so they're just going to run with it. Now, you do have your cards, your action cards. The werewolf player gets 2 at the start, so I shuffled them up. Werewolf player gets force the change and cover. And then, well, that would be for the non-Lycan side. That's for the the youngers. And then the actual Lycan could get panic or burst of speed. Now, the Soviet player doesn't start with any cards at the beginning, but going from turn 2 onwards, everybody gets to draw 1 card. And again, the Lycan, they're not on the table yet because they're in ambush mode, and we're going to have those 2 Mark 82 bombs to attack vehicles that drive by. So let's get going. Now remember, my special scenario rule is 5 movement points. Now, along the road, trying to remember all these different things. So it's like, oh, okay, if I'm moving along a road, do we get any bonuses? +1 movement factor if entire movement allowance is spent on the road. Well, the thing is, remember, right now I'm limited to 5 movement points regardless of any road movement bonuses. So we're just going to move along at 5. So here comes a BRDM2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just moving along. Now, what I could do, just to get us all into excitement, is right here in the village, we'll say, there was an IED that goes off. And the special scenario rules say that it's a strength 12 attack. Now, this is an armored vehicle because it has an armored value, but it's like a 0, so not much in the way of armor at all. So a 12 attack against 0. What you do is you look at your 12 column. I'm going to roll 1 die. I don't have my die tray, so I'm going to try and keep it all... Where'd my dice tower go? I didn't even think of that till we started, and now I don't see it here. Alright, well, let's try to... Oh, here's what I'll do. I have a cup. I was using that for dice rolling die 6s. So here's a die 10. Let's roll it. A 1. Yeah, you want to roll low. If you want to blow stuff up, 0 counts as 0, not as a 10. So a 1, that's pretty good. So I cross-reference the 1 with a 12, and that says X8. That's not good. Target eliminated. That don't sound good at all. And then there's an 8. Well, that ain't good. We don't want to blow up right away. But I have a slash. Let me just double check and see what's on the other side of the slash. I'll be right back. Alright, I was just double checking. It actually has it right here. So some of these results you'll see as a slash. If you're using artillery, mortars, airstrikes, minefields, something that would, it says, attacks targeting multiple units in the hex, then you would use the number on the right. Since this is a lone vehicle, it's going to get the X result. So that bomb, wow, went off, and that was a perfectly executed IED. I didn't think I would need this right away. I had the wreck markers kind of left in the box because I was like, oh, we won't destroy anything immediately. Well, that's one BRDM2 down. Okay. Well, there you go. This might be a shorter playthrough than I thought it would be. Okay, well, there we go. One destroyed BRDM2 by the Mark 82 bomb. Again, normally we would have that placed hidden, but I just did an arbitrary, let's do a bomb attack. Alright, well, the Soviet player still has a lot to move. Now, the thing with that is, because we have now attacked and blown up something in the Soviet column, they no longer have to move at 2, and they don't have to move along that road. They can move however they want. And now I've tried playing this scenario a few times. Moving straight through the forest, moving along the road. It never really ends up well. So we'll just continue the trend now of doing odd things just for the heck of it. So instead of sticking on the road, because now we're like, oh look, there's bombs on the road, we're just going to drive through the forest, because who suspects lichen in the middle of World War III? So this T-80 says, I'm going to move ahead. Now it's got a movement of 5. And you can't see it, but this darker terrain, and there's a little white line that's hard to see, means we move uphill. So to go uphill is an extra move point into clear space. So it's going to move up. I'll just pick this hex right here. Now, I got to check movement. So through a forest, the movement cost of an armored fighting vehicle is 2. And that is still level. That's going downhill. So we'll just go right here. So we move 2 to get up, 2 there, and 1 to go down the hill. So that tank moves, and they get a move marker. Moved. Alright, now with the sequence of play, we kind of glossed over that a little bit, but I should touch on that real quick. The scenario says that the Soviet player starts first, so we passed over initiative. Then we draw the action cards. We already touched on that. I guess we didn't miss it. The lichen gets 2 action cards. Soviet player has 0 to start with, but each side will draw 1 at the during round 2. No rally phase. Nothing had been damaged or disrupted, so there was no rallying. Then fire happens. There was nothing to shoot at, so we skipped that. Firing is alternative, so one person will fire, the other person will fire with something, then the other side will fire. But movement is all of it. So all of these units are going to move, and then the lichen player can move. But the thing is, remember, the lichen player, as the Soviet player starts driving through the woods, we can interrupt that movement, plop down a lichen unit, and make an attack. I don't feel like attacking a tank unit right at the moment because tanks are big and scary. So I move a tank. Then the truck says, I'm going to follow my escort. So he goes 2 movement points to go uphill. And then he goes 2 to go through the woods because he's following his buddy. And then all of a sudden, ambush. So, let me find it, RPD machine gun unit appears. And we're going to pop them right there. They're waiting in the woods. I don't want to put it there because then the tank is point blank and shoot. But we'll put the RPD unit right there. And they attack the Ural truck. What I'm doing now is I'm going to take a look at their different combat results. And we're going to use this 2 gold. That's kind of like the high explosive can't even speak. That's their high explosive firepower factor. If they had a number up here in the upper left, that'd be like their anti-armor value, armor piercing factor. So we're going to look at 2. Now, the Ural trucks have a negative modifier, which actually adds 2. You get like bonuses for shooting at trucks because they just kind of really suck. So the RPD with a 2. I look at this gold band, and that's going to tell me based on range if there's any kind of multipliers or anything. Short range for an RPD is out to 2 hexes away. So this is Short range. Great. Short range means I get 1 column shift to the right. So I'm firing 2. I get a column shift to the right. In the truck, just trying to think, would that be 4 column shifts? No, I don't think that's if I'm shooting at with the armor piercing stuff, so that won't really do anything for this. So I'm just going to be on a 2, my 1 shift to the right for being adjacent to it. And what we're going to do is roll the die 10. A 6. That's not very good, but it does give a result of 1. So I know you can't see the chart pretty good, but again, all I got to do is I take my dice roll, cross-reference with the corresponding firepower, and it says 1. So the Soviets have a morale of 3, and the Lycan player in this game has a morale of 4. And I think, depending on what you're doing, I think there was some morale modifiers for different things on this one in the special scenario rules, but I can't remember all the rules. So here we go. We're going to roll. And the truck gets a 9. Now, it was only 1 roll, so it doesn't have multiple hits, but it gets disrupted. So 1 hit is a disruption. So these guys popped out, said, rat-a-tat-tat, and they get marked with a fire. Alright, you could almost say that they were moved as well. So we'll just say they were moved and they stopped, they got disrupted. If you get disrupted while you're moving, you don't get to keep moving anyway. So they're kind of stuck there. But okay, well, here's the thing. The Soviet player can move along. Now remember that they already did the firing phase. So this is just the movement. If anyone's going to fire, it would be, you know, the Lycan player who's in ambush. Although we can see about like a drive-through. I think there's a close assault where we can drive through. And I might try that. I'm going to see if I can run over some infantry in the woods here. And I'll take a moment to see if we can do that in woods or if it has to be open or anything like that. So we go 1 along the road, 2 along the road, 3 off-road. Or actually, if I just go right here, 1, it's uphill, so that's 2 movement points used. We're going to see if I can drive through and get those infantry. Be right back. Okay, so this is tricky. It's possible to do, but the problem is I don't know if I have the movement points to do it, because in addition to moving uphill is 2, you also pay a cost for zone of control movement, and that infantry owns that. And then I have to pay to move into the woods, which is like another 2. I don't think I have enough, because it says you got to have enough like to move through, maybe. Let's see. You have to have enough. Paying all movement costs, including the cost for entering a zone of control, as if they move adjacent to the target hex if applicable. Let's see, move into the target. Oh, I guess we just move into it. So I guess we can do it. We just want to move in. Let me just check real quick the zone control, because that's my concern. Is I got to make sure I have enough movement points to actually drive uphill into a wood just to try and run over some infantry. Let me see what that costs. Okay, I think we can do this. So it's going to be 2 to move uphill into the open, then 2 points to move into the woods. Now the zone of control comes in right here because you exert a zone of control into the hexes around you, but not into the hex you're in. Because once we move in here, then it says it's all chaos and you're not exerting a zone of control inside. So it's not extra movement on top of moving in. So we're in here. Normally you can't move into enemy hexes unless you're doing like an overrun. So we're going to take a look and see how this works out. So we'll leave that there. We'll wait till we get to the close assault phase. Well, I guess we resolve it now because it talks about like if you move on and stuff like that. So let's just resolve it now. I'm driving through the hex. Let's take care of it. Now it says the tank driving through. It seems pretty powerful because you're going to compare close assault to close assault. My close assault is 4, and it says you treble it, which I guess is times 3. So it's 12 to 4. So I'm thinking that's 3-to-1 odds. And you look at the close assault table. So this tank is trying to just run people down. It's got machine guns blazing. And 3-to-1 odds, I roll a die. I get a 4. I look across here for my 3-to-1 odds, and it says attacker takes 2 hits, defender takes 6. Now, that's because, you know, they're still fighting back. They got their Molotovs or they're throwing sticks, something trying to stop the tank. So the Soviet player has 3 morale. Here we go. Oh, a 0 and a 3. They save both. The tank says no problem. Now the Lycan player, it's got 6, and I just happen to have 6 die 10 dice that came with the game, so we can roll that. Now the Lycan player has a 4, so I gotta roll 4 or under for saves. Alright, well, 1, 2, 3, 4 fails. They got 2 saves. So the way the steps for damage work is first you're disrupted, then you get reduced. Yep. And then you get taken off the board. So 4 hits definitely removes that unit. So there you go. And this tank unit will stay right there. Oh, and I forgot, I had to look it back up in the book, but overrun, I think they get marked with move. Some of these things you do, you get marked with fired or moved. Let's see if it's handy real quick. I got the digital, because sometimes I can do searches real quick for digital. I'm using the digital rules. There are no terrain effect modifiers for an overrun attack, so we did okay there. But I'm just seeing, how do they get marked? Combatants that conduct moving fire, well, that's moving fire. Both players compare. Oh, marked fired. Okay. You get marked fired. Why is that? Mark says, why are the combatants marked fired after moving? There are a couple reasons. First, this is consistent with the move fire rules that any combatants that move and fire are marked fired. Additionally, marking combatants fired prevents them from also conducting an assault after an overrun. Oh. That way I can't double dip and do a close assault later. So, fired it is, team. You heard it here. Alright, perfect. So now we're just going to move some more stuff. Here comes a truck. Do they risk it and just shoot across? Let's risk it, shall we? 1, 2, 3 for going uphill. Oh, 4. They come down. Oh no, what happens? A militia unit steps out of nowhere. And opens an attack. They've got a 4 firepower. It is adjacent. It's short range. You can't see on the chart. I'm trying not to knock stuff over. Maybe if I move the camera over just a little bit, you can kind of see. Now, of course, the table I'm looking at is pretty small on camera, but I got 4 firepower here on the Lycan unit and no defense on the truck. So I'm going to roll on the 4 column here. Now, because it's adjacent, it says at short range I get 1 column shift to the right. So I'm rolling on the 6 column. That's better than the RPD. Well, alright then. Here we go, militia. They rolled a 5 that you can't see unless I do that. So 5 on the 6 table. 3. So the truck has to make 3 saves or they're hurting. And it makes 2 of them. 1 and 2, they got morale of 3. So it is also disrupted. Here's a disrupted marker. And here's a fired for that militia unit. You know, could be worse. Well, seeing their buddies are being shot at, the Soviets send over a BTR-70 that has some infantry. So we're going to go 1, 2. Do we want to dismount? So here's the thing. If you move into zone of control, you can dismount, but you can't dismount into the hex with the bad guys. So you have to do like close assault. So we can move and then dismount and they'll have their people here. Now, there is about like using half your move points and things. Yeah, I'm just going to keep it simple, and we'll just simply say they pop out. Pop, they don't move. So like you can move up to half your movement point, or like 3 movement points, and no, it's like half your movement points, and then the infantry can move like half. But we're just going to move up and pop out so that everything can close assault later. So we're fine. So we'll just mark them with moved. I'll probably have to pop out some more moved markers. I forgot that I would need so many. We might just have to go off my memory and remember that this stuff moved. So here's a BRDM, which has nothing. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4 here. They'll move there for fighting, and they'll get marked with a moved, trust me. And then I think just for simplicity, I'll pause the camera here, move everything else, and then if there's a combat or something, we'll bring the camera back. But it's probably going to get boring just to watch me move all this stuff. So we'll be right back. Alright, so off to the north a little bit, you can't quite see it. I did move some Soviets kind of just cross road here, off-road. So there's a BRDM unit up at the top with a BTR-80 and some infantry going along the top to clear the way. Then here's a T-80, which is escorting a Euro truck. So these, I figured they would just go that way. And then down here at the bottom, we brought a BTR-70 that's got some infantry with a Ural truck. And they just took the road and went 9 movement points. They drove through the city, but their 9th movement point stuck them right here in this hex where there's another kaboom. So this I thought would be interesting because you'll see it attack an armored vehicle that's got troops. And depending on how we roll, it might kill it, wound it, who knows. So we've got the 12 column of our table. We're going to roll against the BTR-70 first, and we're going to see what happens. Well, it looks like no matter what I roll, something is going to happen. So we roll it. We roll a 5. It's kind of average. So it goes over here, it says 6. I got to roll all 6 dice. And remember, they got 3 morale. So zeros are good, so that's a save, that's a save, that's a save. Okay, so bad news for the Soviet BTR-70. So remember, first hit is a disruption, then you flip it, and then the next hit is destroyed. So I'll have to get another wreck marker. I honestly didn't think I would need so many right away. Okay, but now we got a little bit of a problem here. The infantry, now the infantry typically share the fate of the vehicle they're with. So if they get if the vehicle disrupts, the troops disrupt. If the vehicle is disrupted, troops are reduced as well. So they share the disruption and reduced state. And that's because maybe one of the vehicles is hit, so the infantry are left behind with the vehicle that was hit to protect it, guard it, whatever. But in this case, that whole unit seems to have been wiped out. That's a pretty powerful roadside bomb to wipe out several BTRs. So now we got to roll to see the fate of the infantry. So if they roll in even, they're going to be reduced and disrupted. If I roll odd, they're eliminated. Odd, they're eliminated. So that means the BTR and the infantry they were carrying are vaporized. That's yeah, that's a lot. So there's the wreck. Then the truck, let's see what happens to it. A 0. Well, if any indication from last time, it's an X/9. Since it's not multiple stuff in the hex, then it's the X, and that gets wiped out. Wow. Okay. That was some good bomb rolling there. Lycan player. Oh, well, they're on their way to win. Now, I didn't discuss winning conditions. I didn't think we'd get that far. How do we win? So it says here, we did the clan setup. Where's the victory conditions real quick, like here? To win, the Soviet player must accumulate more victory points than the clan by scenarios in. Victory points are rewarded as follows. Well, the clan, each eliminated unit is worth 1 victory point. Each truck captured is worth 2 victory points. So already we've captured a truck for 2 and got a BRDM 7. So the Lycan player has got 3 victory points, and the Soviet player currently has 0. Well then, okay, moving right along. Yeah, not looking so good for the Soviet player. Now, I did move everything so we would have all the move markers on here. I just apparently did not punch enough out. Oops. But let's say movement phase is over. The ambushes are done. I have no more Mark 82 bombs to blow stuff up with. So we would then let the Lycan player do movement. But because they did ambush and they fired, they don't have any movement. I didn't place any more Lycan players because I could. I should. Let's say during my phase, I mean, I could drop down Lycans. I can have some more militia. But let's say in the woods was this RPG unit. Probably not the smartest thing to do. But we'll say the RPG will fire at the T-64. Let's wound it in some way. So it's got an armor piercing factor of 4. Because it's point blank, it's going to get 1 column shift. Now the other thing too though is, which probably makes this bad, is you subtract the armor. So it's like a -4. Which we have a chart on here, -4. So it's an RPG, -4 column, 1 column shift. So first you're supposed to like apply all your positive column shifts and then the negative. There's no negative column shift here, just positive. So overall he's rolling on the -2 column. So we're going to fire the RPG. Now this armor value here, the T-64B, has a sub number of -1. That means I subtract 1 from this roll. So yes, it's an armored vehicle, oops, but its value isn't as good. So that gives us a -1. That wasn't a good roll. I kind of dropped the die. Let's be honest here. Let's roll it properly. 7 -1 is a 6. 6 on the -2 column is no effect. So that probably was not the best use of an RPG unit. So they get marked with a fired. You know, I thought I would try it. Go big or go home. Now we do have some more Lycan units and militia units to bring out, but we'll wait. Okay, so after we've done movement, we would check for close assault phase. No close assaults to happen at this time because all the eligible units have none. Well, we could with this BRDM. I take it back. This BRDM moved. It would technically have a move marker on it, and it is adjacent to this unit here. This is a moved. Oh yeah, I forgot. We can, because this was an infantry and a BTR 70, so they can close assault. Close assault is done pretty similar to like combat, except we're going to use the close assault factors. But then you'll get a defense factor for going into the woods. That'll give some protection. Close assault, yeah, for woods. 1 column shift modifier for infantry. Since it's an infantry unit in the woods, they get a little bit of protection. Okay, not much. So we can play this out. Let's take this fired off here. This might not go so good for the Lycan player here. So we have infantry and the BTR 70. So we're going to add up our close assault factor. That's 12. They have a close assault factor of 4. So that's a difference of, well, let's see what are the odds on that. It's odds based. Yeah, let me go through and make sure I got all that correctly, because it's like going off my memory. But before I confuse it with other rule sets, let's make sure that we got math good. Okay, I think the math is good. It's just looking really bad for my poor Lycan militia unit. So yeah, we take everything. 8 and 4 is 12. Compared to the 4, that is 3-to-1 odds. We are going to shift the column 1 in the favor of the defender, because they're defending, so it's going to be on the 2-to-1 odds. I roll my die. I roll a 6. 6 on 2-to-1 is 4-to-4, so it's equal. So it's not very good for the attacker and not very good for the defender either. So we'll roll for the Soviet. This will be the attacker, so they roll. And they get 1 save. So now I got to distribute 3 hits among the attackers. So right away, both will be disrupted, and then that'll be 2 of those hits. We'll roll a die to see if the infantry or the BTR is reduced. I'll go odds for the BTR, even for infantry, odd for the BTR. So we'll flip him to reduced. They get a disrupted on top of everything, and then they are there. Now the militia gets 4, so they're going to roll their 4 dice. Again, they got a morale of 4. They're pretty good. No save, so the militia player, that's a victory point for the Soviet player. So there we go, boom. The militia player loses something. Yeah, so they took a little bit of damage to dislodge them, but they made it. Alright, now that would be close assault. Normally close assault would alternate back and forth. Only had the 1, it worked out pretty good for the Soviet player. Then we do housekeeping phase, so we're going to take like all the move and fired markers off, so we know who's done what. Done, 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 done. Now, I do have to admit, I forgot to look at my cards. See, I told you, I always forget cards. Here is a cover card for the militia. The clan knows the city and land like no other. They are able to find cover where others find none. Ignore the first 2 non-negated hits for this attack. That would have been good had I remembered. Then I also had here, fueled by stress and violence, the young clan members turn despite the lack of a moon. So I could have turned that militia into vampires. Now, I was keeping them, though, for the Lycan, the actual werewolf part. But, yeah, got to keep track of those cards. They could have actually just helped turn the tide there. But I'm not going to go back in time. We're going to take those losses and take them. Alright, then we do aid and focus phase. Only the Soviet player has aid and focus. The Americans will have that if you play with Americans, but if you're playing with Soviets, they get it. They don't have any for the monstrosities. Aid and focus. These are awesome because they allow you to focus your leadership into very specific areas of the battlefield. So, for instance, there's one here for aid. This would let you re-roll a morale check if you needed to, like during a rally phase. Then you have this one here, which is focus. This will let you re-roll like a combat die or even initiative. And all you got to do during aid and focus is bring them onto the board and stick them with a unit. Now, we have some disrupted folks, so what I would do is, what's disrupted here? A truck. Well, I'm trying to save trucks, so I'm going to stick that there so we can try and rally them. That'll give a better chance to rally in the rally phase. Then focus if I was combating something. So I'll put that here on this T64 because, again, maybe it will try and attack or assault or something, and we'll give them a bonus. Now, later, if I don't actually use it, I could, in a later aid and focus phase, flip it to the 2 dice side. So this is double-sided. One side, you can spend 1 die to roll. And if it's on the double side, you could re-roll something twice. And each time you roll, you reduce your marker by 1. And if you rolled a second time, you would take it off the board and leave it again for later. Now, you can never capture or destroy these. If a unit like moves and leaves it behind, it can't be by itself, so it might get lost. Or I could move it like up to 3 hexes away if I want to transfer my shift power somewhere else, or take it off the board, then bring it back later to another side of the board. So there's like little things you can do with it, but it doesn't really represent a singular unit. It just kind of represents maybe where I'm dropping supplies, giving extra attention to try and help that part of the battlefield. That's why you never really capture it or anything like that, but you can affect the flow of supplies by like destroying the unit that it gets attached to, for instance. So I'm going to stick it there for combat. Okay, aid and focus, done. Then we advance the turn marker, which I have off to the side so you can't see that. So that's a turn in a nutshell. Now we'll go through one more turn and kind of walk you through things. So for example, sequence of play, again we determine initiative, so we'll make a die roll. And I've got 2 here, so I'll just roll separately first. We'll say the Lycan player rolls. Normally I got some colored die 10s laying around here, but I don't see them right now. So we'll just go Lycan player rolls a 6. The Soviet player rolls a 1. So Lycan player has initiative. All right, lucky for them. In case of a tie, I'm trying to remember tie. Let me look that up just real quick here. Normally I can pause the game or the video and we come back and look, but I'm just going to go back real fast here a couple pages. And it says here under initiative. Oh, I did forget this luck token. I haven't brought Ledita on. I got the luck token. It says here, at the beginning of a scenario, each hero, only heroes, are given a luck token. I just saw that as a reminder. Don't forget the luck token, but I don't think we're going to get Ledita and the other guy on the table. The initiative, roll die 10. Yeah, in case of a tie, the player who did not have the initiative previous turn is given the initiative. One other thing I'll share about the cards, and I'm thinking about the action cards. They have something called the Winds of War. So a player may discard up to 2 action cards before any die roll to add or subtract 1 per card from the roll. So if I wanted to modify the die roll by 1, I would discard 1 card. If I wanted to modify it by 2, before any die roll to add or subtract 1 per card. So I can make a modification by 2, but before you roll the die. Something to remember in case you're stuck with cards you don't like it. Any cards played in this manner do not count against the 2-card limit for action cards played in a turn. So you can play 2 cards, but discarding for Winds of War. Alright, good to know. Little things to remember while I'm here looking at it. Alright, so we have the Lycan player with initiative. Here we draw the action cards. Lycan player draws a sniper that they can play with their militia, or the Lycan part, regenerate. Return Lycan to undisrupted full strength. Well, there's no Lycan on the board. I probably should have brought everything on the board, but I'll just push up and surprise them with werewolves and things like that. So we'll keep that there for them. Then the Soviet player gets their first card. Now, at the beginning, the scenario said to take out a whole bunch of cards, man pads, artillery barrage, ECM. So I'm left with like the basic cards. And I got one here. For the motherland, I can play during the rally. So this will tell me what phase I can play this on. And it says rally phase. Raise the morale of all Warsaw Pact units by 1 for the current turn. Well, hey, luckily I have a rally phase coming. I've got a couple disrupted units. Let's play the rally card. So I'll discard that. I get to add 1. So now the morale is 4 for the entire turn. Nice. Alright, so over here, these 2 units were disrupted. Normally I could roll just 2 dice, but I need to know which one is disrupted since they both were. So we'll roll for the BTR 70 first. Nope, it's still disrupted. But, yeah, no, still a but because that raised it to 4. Alright, well, let's try the infantry. A 6. Oh, man, waste of a card. Yep, that's all I got there. Down here, we have the truck, and it's going to roll, and it's got that same +1. Ah, but I'm going to use the aid for a reroll. Haha. And we'll roll again. Nope, that was a waste. So they took a little bit of a pounding, and they said, nope, we don't feel like doing anything this turn. All right, that's fine. Whatever. All right, so after the rally phase, then we would go to the fire phase, and the Lycan player has initiative. Now, that's fine because we've got this RPG unit right here. Hey, thankfully, it's going to fire. Now, one thing I did not do last time was I forgot to modify the defense by the terrain because that tank. Let's see, woods against fire combat, they get a 1 shift. So we would determine their final. I don't think the RPG unit could shoot that tank now that you ask me about it, because it has a 4 firepower. It might be alright because it's column shifts, right? So we do 4 against its 8, so that is going to be -4 because that's a difference of -4. Then you apply all the positive shifts, so it gets 1 positive shift for being adjacent. And then, because the target unit tanks are in woods, there's a -1, or a shift to the left. So they're on the -4 column. I have to roll to do anything, a 0. So that actually is not a good. I think I'll skip the fire with him, and we might want to try and move him to a different spot. Yeah, I mean, the odds of rolling a 0 are, can be done, but maybe not the most cost-effective thing to do. Now, what I can do, though, is, let's say it's the special scenario rules. I have initiative. What I might do is plop down a militia unit. Ooh, I'm going to plop down Ledetta here next to a soft unit. Do we have any trucks up here? Nothing that, yeah, I do. I have a truck that's disrupted under this BRDM. So let's say Ledetta, our hero werewolf, pops out. Can't forget my luck marker. So when these heroes first come on, it says you get a hero. Or you get this luck column. So it says lose 1 hit or re-roll a die. So we might lose a hit. So I'm going to keep that with her as a reminder. Then I got to remember when I bring on Tintani, he has a luck as well. Alright, now on your hero, you have stats. These little icons that indicate special things. Ledetta has 2 dice. That means she gets to re-roll. Like, she rolls 2 dice and picks the best one that she likes. Then she has another one on the other side. It's the rifle. So, hold on a second. I want to read to you the rifle here. Dun 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 dun. It is, let's see if there's something with the rifle. I thought that had something to do like a sniper, and then there was a special thing with a sniper. Aggressive, recon, silver bullet. Nope, that's a sniper with a, I guess the rifle. Is that a rifle? Yeah, it looks like a rifle. I was just checking to see if that meant something special on her card. And I'm not seeing anything special on her card or on this cheat sheet specifically for a rifle. I don't think that's bloodthirsty. You can choose whether to close assault and the target hex. Yeah, I think. I'm going to look at the beginning here real quick. Does that rifle symbol mean anything to me specifically? I know, it's amazing what you forget. Oh yeah, it just indicates it's a hero unit. Because you have hero units and then there's a commander unit if you put with armored vehicle. Okay, so that's letting me know it's a hero. That's why she gets the luck token. Now, versus, I'll just show you here. That's Ledetta, one to there. Tintani does not get it. Can't tell. Is that a star on top of the... They might be heroing because that might be a star on top of the rifle. Telling you, when I need something I don't quite remember, and then I remember after the fact, and it's like, oh yeah, that's what that was. There, let me look that up real quick because I want to make sure I get that symbology correct. And it's the same page I was looking. So right here, if you have, this is why I like to use digital when I play. I can like zoom on points for you. So the rifle means hero, and that star looking symbol means champion. So heroes, when they come onto the board, they get a luck token. It didn't say commanders or champions, so yay for heroes. I need a hero. So we won't worry about that. So we'll just take all this off. Alright, like we are totally set. She's going to attack the truck with fire combat. So she rolls a die. Where's my combat chart? So it's not close assault, right? She is shooting, and she's got 6, and the truck has a 0, so it's on the 6th column. It's point blank, so she gets a shift to the right. It's in the open, so there's no defensive shifts. She rolls 2 dice because she's lucky, keeps the lower value. She's keeping the 3, which is different than the 4. So 3 all the way over to the 8 is 5. So that truck has to make 5 rolls, and it saves 1. The rest of that means hot mess. Now, you would probably say, because it's in there, shooting into the hex, it's split. Well, the thing is, I don't think that machine gun value will do anything against the armored vehicle, because the armored vehicle, so really that armored vehicle does absorb hits, but it doesn't take damage. So here's what I mean. You would kind of alternate, right? So I'd take one hit to the truck, because that was like the target. But I think you're allowed to target specifically. I think that's the rule. Hold on. When in play by yourself, it's so easy to forget stuff. This is why I need to have Mark playing with me every time so he can just quickly correct me. So let me just double check, because I believe in the new rule set, right, we are allowed to target a specific unit in a stack. So I'm not attacking the hex, I'm attacking that specific unit, and that's the truck. But if it was like artillery or something like that, then those hits would be spread among all the targets. So yeah, I'm targeting just the truck, and the truck is going from disrupted to reduced to destroyed. Gone. So that disruption comes off. Now I gotta get another rec marker. Again, I wasn't expecting so many dead things in like one turn of play. So let's pop another marker off. Alright, so there's a wreck inside that hex, which will be like a column shift, defensive column shift there for those guys. And then she gets a fired marker. Alright, then here comes all the Soviet player. Now, this is kind of bad because, again, shooting is alternating. So we'll go here, and we'll shoot into the RPG unit. I was hoping the RPG unit would survive, then I could like pull them away, but I don't think it's going to go well for them. So there's a 10 on the high explosive fire factor chart or table there, their value, against the 2. So that's a difference of, oh no, I think they just go with the value. I don't think they have to subtract when it's HEF. But we are starting on the 10, however, infantry and woods. Now, if it's like mortar and artillery, there was a special rule for that. But if it's just getting attacked by tanks, they get 2 column shifts. There's 1 positive column shift for the tank because they are adjacent. So they would go up to the 12 and then back 2 to the 8. And they're going to roll. That's actually a really good value. So this is pumping some 125 millimeter high explosive rounds at this RPG unit. It's a 4. So that's 4 checks. And 2 saves. So that would be a disruption and a reduce. Well, they lived. Fired for the tank. Oh, I had a reroll for the tank. I'll save that reroll. So fired for the tank. Disrupted for the RPG unit. Then the Lycan player would go. I think the Lycan player is going to pop down a RPD unit. Where? Here we go. Right here. So RPD unit. And it's going to attack this truck. I'll just leave it off there for a moment. So it's got 2 firepower. It's going to get 1 shift to the right because it's attacking close quarter there. And then the truck is going to get 1 defensive shift to the left because it's in wood. So we're on the 2 column. And so I'm going to roll low RPD unit. Now, if I had more units on the board, what I could do is like combine, and they could do a supporting attack. So each additional fire, if it's a full strength 2 column to the right shift. So I could pop them on the board, but yeah, we'll fire. If they survive, a 0. That's perfect. That's 4, believe it or not. 4 hits on an already disrupted truck. Here we go. Oh, don't forget, I already forgot. They have a morale of 4 because of that card they played earlier. So they save, not save. So they go from disrupted to damaged and disrupted. That was actually really good rolls for the Soviet player on that truck. Then the Soviet player says, I'm going to return fire. So remember, shooting is alternating back and forth. Now they don't have to fire. He could say maybe later I'll do like an overrun or participate in close assault, which we might do that. They have a pretty good close assault factor, but if I fire, I can't close assault later. So let's just shoot. We're going to shoot. Why not? So we take our 10, and they have a modifier of +1. I'm not sure if I remembered that before. That makes it, yeah, sure they're firing high explosive, but I have this little +1 I forgot to add in down here, and that makes them not as effective at firing high explosive. Maybe it's a weaker high explosive shot. So it's a 10. They get a column shift to the 8 because they're in woods. Oh, 2 column shifts, right? Because they're in woods. Leg units get 2. So it's on the 6th column. Roll the die 10. Add 1. So it's a 6. Onto the 8 column. That's still 3. And Lycan player gets a 4 morale. Save, save, save. Nothing happening there, boss. Alright, let's bring another militia unit on. I got these militia units. Let's use them for something. They're going to drop right in here. And they're going to attack and finish off that truck. So it's 4. And the truck is in wood, so it's going to get a shift to the 2. And we're going to roll. Ooh, bad. 9 on a 4 is no effect. That was kind of, yeah, they're not happy with that roll. Alright, sorry. So we go like that. And then the Soviet player, they got to this Ledetta they're going to shoot at. So she destroyed a truck earlier, so they're going to BRDM right back. There is rules here about this square around the box, which allows them to do like an assault move, because you had to have there's like some restrictions on assault move and you know, like how armored you are, kind of a thing. But if you have that box, it says, yeah, you can do an assault move with the box. I'm not assault moving, I'm just going to shoot. So it's a 6 firepower. Adjacent, I get a shift to the right. Oh, I might have forgot to shift earlier. Forgetting shifts as I play, but because it's adjacent, they get a shift, but the target is in woods, and it's a leg unit, so that's 2 shifts. That brings it 2 shifts to the left for defense. That's a 4 on the firepower chart. So the BRDM is going to roll 1 die. It doesn't have a plus or minus symbol with it, so it rolls a 9, which is no effect. Alright, not cool. And then, just so we can end out the turn strong, It is turn 2. We get to bring in a lichen unit. Whoa, werewolf. And they're going to pop right in here. So identifier. Here comes the werewolf. Now, normally werewolves, they can attack tanks and things like that. And if they have a card, there's a card they can get where it allows them to damage armored vehicles. So normally they can just disrupt armored vehicles, but with the right card, they can actually damage a vehicle, you know, in your close assault. Since they're right here, they can actually get into the hex to assault. I think werewolves, they can attack. Let's see if they can attack. I think they have to be in the same hex because they're like a melee unit. Now they got several symbols here to try and remember. One of them is like regeneration. One of them is a shield for protecting themselves from damage. And then the other one here, as we look, there's our index. Here's the symbols. I should really just print this out. So they have, trying to look at the symbol here. Hard to tell. I don't think that's wolf speed. Is that wolf speed? I can't. My eyeballs are really bad. I think that might be, it's frenzied. They ignore zone of control. So when they're moving, they can just move right up to you. They don't exert a zone of control either, but they ignore it. And then that little health thing, not there. They regenerate. So during the rally phase, we'll worry about that later. So they regenerate, but they do get to ignore the first hit. Ignore first hit. So if someone shoots them, because, you know, werewolves are tough, they get to ignore the first hit. But let's just take a peek real quick. And we're going to take a look here. Can werewolves, when they attack, so there's a special section in here for the werewolves in the rules. And we can look here. Lichen. They ignore zone of control and regenerate in each rally phase. To kill them, you need to overwhelming firepower, right? Clan and Lichen combatants. Militia, RPD. I was seeing if it said right here that they have to a close assault from the same, if they have to be in the same hex. Unless allowed by an X card, Lichens cannot step reduce. The clan. Let's see. Lichen. So here's a whole bunch of Lichen rules here. This is talking about the history. And it goes into the rules. The following are the rules of the members. So the clan has a morale of 4, although not as well trained as the Soviet Americans. They are stout defenders. Change clan members called werewolves or Lichen are designated with an L. Non-clan units. Okay, got it. This is the bottom. Lichens may not step reduce. We got that. They may be on armored vehicles. Clan action cards that conflict with the rules. Well, I was looking to see how it treats that. So let's go take a look at close assault combat. I need a better tablet that renders quicker. So let's find that rule real quick here. Like I said, normally I pause for something like this, but I'm going to look through this with you. So close assault. Undisrupted combatants that are not marked fired may close assault. Combatants in the close assault phase. Combatants whose close assault firepower is succeeded by an asterisk may not initiate close assault but may defend. It is not mandatory to attack adjacent combatants, but it is mandatory to participate if you're the defender in a close assault against same hex enemy combatants. Okay, 7.3. Several combatants enter their enemy's hex to conduct close assault. These combatants are identified either by the white font they use in their close assault factor. Okay, that's what I thought. I wanted to make sure. So we enter the same hex for fighting. Units may only enter a hex with an enemy combatant if entering unit has a white font, bloodthirsty ability, or all non-friendly units in the hex to be entered do not have a close assault factor. Example, Lichens with their close assault factor of 16 must enter an enemy hex to conduct close assault. Okay, but here's where I'm thinking, since I wanted to find the rules, right, because I hate going off my memory. So I know I got to get in there. We're on the fire phase, and I can't, like, surprise somebody by jumping into a clear hex, because the special scenario rules say I gotta be in wood. So this probably isn't going to work for me. I want to get that truck, but I don't think I can. So I tell you what we're going to do. See, that tank unit is in woods. What are you? That's me. That's me. I wanted to pop this lichen in, and then I was going to close assault, but I can't close assault. You gotta be in the same hex. And then I was thinking, what I could do is, if this was in woods, I could have him ambush in the woods, because it says they can pop up in any woods hex. That means this truck is toast. Alright, that's a lot of effort to get to that truck. But let's get to the truck. So I have here, but he's in. He's going to pop in. Now, we got to wait for the close assault, but I'm going to show you a werewolf rip a truck apart. Alright, well, what else can we do? Let's say that's it. They fire, disrupt fire. They can fire. They can fire along this hex here, and they can fire down. So we're going to see if we can shoot Ledetta here. Okay, we can do it. So this tank, short range for gold is 2 hexes away. So it's short range, so they're going to get a column shift. So 10, short range, column shift to the 12, column shift the woods back for defense, so that's the 10. I roll the die, add 1 because it got +1. So that's a 4, which brings it up, and that says 5. Okay, so we gotta make 5 hits. Uh-oh. Alright, so here we go. You can do it. Now she's got on her card, well, no, that's on her card. Oh, alright, here we go. Let's see how she holds up. Now, oops, that was a 6. 1, 2, 3. So she saved 3 of those. So she gets a reduced and disrupted. Now there is a rule in here, a special scenario rule for her, that when she takes damage, if it would kill her or not kill her, or even if it kills her, she can then switch into her werewolf form. So she'll probably later switch into the werewolf form. So this T-80 tank fired, and we'll put, I ran out of fire markers. Alright, I'll just move this one up here. Then the BRDM and the BTR, they're going to group fire. So I'll show you group fire. Basically it works the same. We're going to start with the lead unit that's shooting. They both have a 6 value. And then, because there's a full unit firing with it, that's 2 column shifts to the right. Very advantageous. So starting on 6, 2 to the right, so that's 10. -1 for the woods, it's an 8. So they roll. Uh-oh. 3 to the 8. Again, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Save, save, save. 2 fail. So normally that would kill her, but she can lose 1 hit for her luck. But that's still, because I forgot to flip her to the reduced. That would normally kill her. So we'll keep the luck there. We'll just transfer it over to the werewolf form. I didn't read that she'd lose it. So she becomes a werewolf. Alright, she's still lucky, bloodthirsty. So later on she can move into that hex to fight. Okay, so this then would all get fired markers. So I'm just going to transfer that for now. So that's how you do a group fire. You got to be adjacent in an adjacent hex or together to shoot. There's also rules for, like, trying to think, flanking fire, stuff like that. I don't have any flanking fire to worry about. So right now these are kind of holding up the Soviets. They've destroyed at least 1 truck, 2 that are wounded. So they're not doing horrible. We did lose a militia unit. So after firing would be the movement phase. Now I can move in. So I guess I could have dropped my lichen somewhere else, but now they get to move. So we move in, and Ledetta is a werewolf. She'll move in to wherever that truck was. Thought I had a truck unit over here somewhere. Yeah, they're going to move in and attack the truck. So the hits will distribute between the truck and the tank. So the tank won't take damage. It might become disrupted. It won't get destroyed. but I still might be able to take out that tank unit. So we'll do some fighting there. Then Soviet player would move. Well, they want to get the heck out of Dodge. So I do have Tentani to bring on during turn 2. So we want to keep the Soviet player. The problem is the werewolves, they don't exert a zone of control, so they could just be driven around. Well, what I could do is, because we said movement, I'll hold off on Tentani, but I'll put a militia because that exerts a zone of control. So good luck trying to move. Just extra movement points is all. So the tank probably doesn't have to move, but the one with the truck, is there a truck here? Nope. Infantry. Thought I had another truck. There's a truck, but it's disrupted. It's not moving, and it's got a dude with it. But the dude doesn't exert zone of control. There's a truck with him. One truck, two trucks. Where's my third truck? I should have one more truck on the field somewhere. Did I destroy 2 trucks? Oh, I already did. Well, hey, I tell you what, if I destroy these 2 trucks, we'll call it good. We took all the supplies we need. We'll just disband and say, we're done, and take no more losses, and then have a whole bunch of victory points for destroying these trucks. Alright, I didn't realize I already killed 2 trucks. Well, here you go. Here's how the Lycans can win in two turns. Well, it'd actually be closer to like 3 because I'd have to leave the board and the Soviet player would have to hunt them down. So we just want the trucks. So close combat takes alternating turns. The Lycan player has to do close combat in the same hex. So we'll start here. This Lycan person drops into this hex, moves in with the truck. It has a 16 assault factor. Wow. Yeah, Lycan are tough. And the truck has essentially nothing. So it's got 1. So it can initiate, but it can defend. And it's disrupted, so it gets a half with a minimum of 1. So it's like 16 to 1 odds. So our table only goes up maximum 6 to 1 odds. Holy cow. So it rolls a die. Now we want to roll low. Well, for the Lycan player, wants to roll low. It's a 9. Not very low. In fact, that's the worst I can get. So two hits on the attacker, 6 hits on the truck. So let's see what happens to the attacker. So morale of 4. Okay, ignore the first hit, and then it becomes disrupted. Really? Okay, that's great. The truck has got to make 6 saves, though. And it's already reduced and disrupted. It's dead. So it saved 2 because they had 4 morale this turn. So that's another dead truck. The Lycan is there, reduced. Alright, then the Soviet player can do a close assault. Disrupted, no. Disrupted, no. Fired, no. Disrupted, fired, no. Nope, there's none for the Soviet player. And since they fired, they can't initiate, but they'll be the receiver of it. Now, the Lycan player has to combine it, attack the combined close assault to get that, to get the odds column. However, the hits, as they get distributed to the tank can get it disrupted, but it can't be reduced or destroyed. I didn't play a card. But if I get enough hits, I could still destroy the truck. So maybe close to 2 turns to have a win. So what we'll do is, Ledetta has 12 strength. They do have, okay, burst of speed won't help here. Yeah, so I don't have anything that's going to help them necessarily at this moment. So 12 against a 5. That's, what is that? 2 goes in 2 times. So that's like 1 to 2 odds. Or 2 to 1 odds in favor of the werewolf. So 2 to 1 odds. Alright, cool. I'm going to roll the dice. We want to roll low. Get a 0. Well, it's a 4. So that's 3 hits on the attacker, 5 hits on the defender. So 3 hits for Ledetta. Now remember, they get to ignore the first hit. Nope, she doesn't have the shield. Oh, yeah, she doesn't get the shield. So here we go. Oh, it does say, though, that when she's lucky. Roll 2 dice when attacking on the FRT or close assault table. Choose 1 to resolve the attack. Oh, hold on a minute. That's right. She gets to roll 2 dice because she's lucky. She rolled a 5, that first one. Let's see if this one's even better than a 5. She rolled the 0. I forgot all about that. She's lucky. So she rolled a 5 and a 0. She wants to take the 0. That means 0 hits on her, 8 hits on the Soviet. So that werewolf, she just jumps into action and just starts tearing stuff apart. Wow, how cinematic and dramatic. So we're going to roll. So these are the saves. And the Soviet player this turn saves on 4. So that's 1, 2, 3 saves. However, I got 2 more dice to roll. I only had 6, and they got 8 hits. And that's 1 more save. So that was, I think, total of 4 hits. So the way the reduction work is 2 hits, each vehicle gets disrupted. Then the Ural truck gets reduced, but the tank doesn't get reduced. So it didn't quite destroy the truck. Aw, man. So we put disrupted on them. I remember they got it fired in there somewhere. Alright, that'd be all the close assault that we got. I mean, I got this militia unit, but what's in here? Infantry. Yeah, the infantry are separate. So the militia will attack the infantry. And then, what's that militia? Did I move a fired up here? I don't remember. I think they fired, and I was just moving the fire marker up. But I don't think they had a fired marker. So I'll attack the infantry. They don't have to be in the same. Oh, infantry, that has a much better, never mind, much better close assault factor than my little werewolf person. Okay, so let's say that's all the close assault. Then we would do housekeeping. We got to take all the fired markers. Fired. That's it. And then we aid and focus. So they got a disruption down here. They want to get that truck. So they'll put their aid there. And they didn't use their focus. So they'll flip that to the 2 side. Perfect. Then we advance the turn marker. And then that would be the end of turn 2. So that took a little longer because I wanted to look up a couple rules just to make sure my memory was good. But yeah, for the most part, I think we got this down. And from this particular scenario, there are 7 turns. I don't know if I played this smartly as the Soviet player, but I don't think so, because we've destroyed 3 URL trucks, the Ural trucks. There's 1 left with a very angry werewolf in it. But remember, werewolves don't exert zones of control, and their movement is 5. So the truck, technically with like a speed of 8, could maneuver away from them. But I do have a card with a burst of speed for the werewolf player, which doubles their movement speed. So I could catch the truck. So I think, ultimately, that truck is dead. Now, I get 2 victory points for the trucks and 1 victory point for everything else. So right now, the werewolves are at 6 victory points, plus 1 is 7. Once I get that truck, I'll have like 8 victory points. Now, the Soviet player could probably get a lot more vehicles off, but they only get like 1 victory point per. They get 1 victory point for killing stuff. So as it stands right now, the Lycan player totally did great because their sole purpose was to try and capture a bunch of trucks. And I feel very confident in the next turn, even if that truck moves, I'd play my speed card for the Lycan and catch the truck and destroy it at that point. Plus, I had another werewolf leader to bring on, who I didn't. And yeah, I didn't have any cards to change, but if I draw another, the next werewolf card was going to be Insight. Oh, but Ferocity, that's the one I wanted. The Lycan's immense strength and animal speed catch the armored fighting vehicle platoon unaware, ripping men from hatches sowing fear. Close assault hits are applied as per the regular rule for reducing. So I could actually on this next turn have one of my werewolves attack a tank unit and possibly destroy it, which would be awesome. And then this Lycan unit has a regeneration, so they get to take a disrupted off. So like they're ready to rumble. And the tank could get away. It could outrun the Lycan a little bit because this Lycan only has a speed of 4, and I would have to use my burst of speed to catch the tank. So depending on where I put this guy, Tentani, it possibly could move in and kill a tank. But yeah, we'll kind of leave it at there. Just sharing some wrap-up session thoughts here. Yeah, I'm not good at solo, like finding out the best strategies and what to do, but it is a very solo-friendly game, right? I don't need an AI bot or anything like. Maybe I do need an AI bot so I make good decisions for player, for my AI player, if you will. But the rule mechanics themselves are simple enough that you can play the game solo. The only hidden information for this particular scenario are the 2 Mark 82 bombs that you have when you start. And then I just simply said, hey, let's just roll and see what happens. And apparently it was pretty good. Now, yeah, that was pretty lucky there. I rolled like really well for both of those hits. Other than that, combat is just, going back and forth, checking, comparing your armor piercing factor versus their defense or the high explosive, just checking for column shifts for terrain, rolling a die 10, possibly modifying that die roll if there's a plus or a minus on the counter or unit that you're shooting at, and then get a number which tell you how many dice to roll for the save. You also modify that by range on how many column shifts you get. Close assault table isn't too bad either. It's just getting that your odds ratio down, and then again rolling a die 10 and comparing hits for the attacker versus hits for the defender. So it's not overly complicated. You can play this solo. It's just a matter of trying to remember things, because I'm trying to keep track of my werewolf abilities and just make sure I get things right. Now, if you go even more complex, then you're talking like you got missiles that you can use. There's your multi-spectral smoke options, returning fire at units that shoot at you, helicopters, infantry fighting vehicle recon rules. I mean, so there's a lot more crunch that you can put in here, but the game, for me, it's as complicated as you want to make it. So that right there is running through with some werewolves tearing up a column of Soviet troops, and I think they won. Honestly, by the time we get done all the shooting and everything, we'd have captured the trucks, and we've accumulated a lot more victory points than the Soviet player. I don't have to destroy everything on the board to win. I just get those trucks and escape, and then we're good. That fits the scenario. Now, I'm going to read you, no I'm not, I'm now going to read you the end here, the victory, but there is a continuing part of the story when you win. It has an aftermath, so it says read after finishing the scenario, but I will let you read that when you play. Alright, anyway, that's The Long Road. I hope that gave you an idea of how the game plays, shows off some werewolf units for you, and we'll talk to you again later. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye.